I'd like to know what's going on with Kate and Will in this season. How it's going to be the relationship. They will be able to trust each other. Like, yeah.
It's a journey. They have work to do. But as Sarah was saying before, sometimes in a relationship, you have to put things on ice and deal with your children. So I think there's a lot of parenting that is at the forefront of our focus, and our relationship is in the background reaching. So we've got a lot of work to do as far as that's concerned, and then you have other tragedies to deal with. And on top of it, we'll solve some problems, and then we'll get other ones. So that whole thing's going to be a journey back to each other. But they started with true love, and I think they'll fight for that.
Because it's an ideological journey as well as an emotional one, right? You know, I mean, these are people who ended up on opposite sides of arguably the most important event of their lives, and they ended up on opposite sides out of love and care for each other. You know, I mean, Will gets caught and he has to collaborate because he's trying to reunite his family. Katie joins the resistance and keeps it from her husband to make sure that if he's ever questioned about it, he can deny it and be honest about that. And so I think I think sometimes that story, The Gift of the Magi, it's that old story about, you know, people who sell the only thing they have to buy each other a gift that's then useless. I think these are two people who they've ruined their marriage trying to keep each other safe. And so the question is, how do you repair that trust? I happen to think, we haven't read that far into the season, I think if Will and Katie actually do come back together, they have an incredibly powerful skill set and reach, and
yes.
I think they could do some real damage together.
Yes.
We just have to start speaking again.
Right.
First. Yeah, always help.
There's that.
Will or Kate really have any connections at the moment, because it's not really the government looking at Santa Monica and Kate, like, kind of fell apart. How long is it going to take them to find out about Graham, and would they have any clue to actually help them?
It's a really, really good question. I mean, I think maybe in some ways with both of our jobs, getting in is easy, getting out is hard, even if you want to get out.
Yes.
So much we can't say.
So much we can't say about all that. But that, of course, is in the forefront of the beginning of the season. I mean, I obviously went to the Santa Monica block, so you'll get a window into what that is, not only about finding the sun or not, but also what does that block look like? How are other blocks being run? How dark does the oppression get? And also, they go outside the wall, so you'll see what's outside there, and delve more into sci-fi. And so all the corners of the world that has been laid out in season 1 start to expand.
And even LA is under a new regime.
And even LA, since Proxy Snyder got moved down, though, that's changing. So everything is changing. And where we may solve one problem, one tragedy with our family, something else can easily and does happen. So it's a constant healing and dealing. Healing and dealing.
Have you or the show gotten any backlash when the freedom fighters basically transitioned to terrorists towards the end, killing just to make a statement, not really helping anyone?
Well, you know, I think to me that's what makes the show so interesting, is that it plays with it asks the question, when is a resistance movement a terrorist movement, and when is it a movement for freedom? And certainly I think, you know, Katie feels deeply conflicted about the fact that she got into this thinking it was one thing and thinking that like ideologically I'm on the right side of this, and then it starts to fall apart. Partly because there are different philosophies with Quayle and Broussard, the people running the cell, but also because they end up in much deeper water than they anticipated. With having captured a rat and seeing a human, and as we move into season 2, we explore those differences even more because we see not just Katie and Broussard's cell, but we start seeing the other resistant cells. And some of them, are more like ISIS. Some of them are more peaceful, nonviolent resistance. And I think the question is what's ethically right, and then also what's efficacious, what works. It's an interesting moment in American culture to be asking those questions. We're certainly getting a big taste in our culture right now of what doesn't work.
And globally.
Yeah.
Global environment is political environment's bananas right now, so it's a great time to be telling this story and asking these questions.
Yeah. And they've given us more latitude this season to be darker, to ask part of. I think for USA with Us and Robot, it was kind of an experiment to see like if their audience would follow something as dark and kind of twisted as these shows can be. And the audience went there, and now they're like, well, great, take the gloves off then.
Go there. So it's definitely getting darker.
Yeah.
And what do you see that the audience right now is so involved in shows with dystopian futures, post-apocalyptic futures, and is more worried about what's going to happen tomorrow than what is happening today?
Well, like Sarah was saying, because it's very current, the show. These are questions we're asking not only in our show, not in TV shows, but in real life. And on a global scale, things are happening, things are shifting, and we're using up our resources, and we've got global warming, and we've got ISIS, and we've got Trump, and America, and things are moving and shifting, and the climate is changing, and so these questions we're asking ourselves when we're at home. So it's a very...
I live in Canada, and they keep threatening to build a wall if Trump's elected. So, you never know; it might not be science fiction in a couple months.
We're from Mexico. Sure, we're gonna buy the wall just to keep Trump out of Mexico.
Yeah, copy that.
Please don't buy or build a wall because we're all going to go in that direction. That's a lot of us. Thank you guys.